Hang in there, it is!
Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show. That sort of, that vibe, that ambiance you hear in the background right now is the Philadelphia airport, because the man whose name is on this show, Smylie Kaufman, is fresh off a trip to the #1 ranked course in the United States of America, Pine Valley. We've teased this a little bit on the pod. If you're watching on YouTube, you can both see Smiley's nice looking logo T-shirt, and also I got suited up for the occasion with my Pine Valley hat. So fired up to recap this, Smylie. Here's what I think we should do, because we also have a nice half-hour interview with Justin Thomas before the trip that was awesome. Dug into a lot of different topics. Scottie Scheffler, the state of his game, looking forward to the PGA Championship in his hometown. So we're going to get to that. But first, just hit us with the Pine Valley headline, hit us with the Pine Valley tease, so we can come back on the other side of the JT conversation and recap it in full.
Wow, what a trip. Shout out to Eli Manning for hosting this thing. It was incredible. Just a great group of people that were on the trip. And biggest highlight right now to report is Rickie Fowler, who I played with today, made a hole-in-one on number 3.
No, he did not.
He did.
Are you serious? Where? Okay, before we get, where was the pin in front? Where was the pin on that green?
It was front left, but not far enough in the middle to where you can really use the slope. You landed on the front fringe, roll down the hole, and there's a video.
Wow, that is electric. My humble brag is I almost aced it the last time I played it, but then I missed the birdie putt. So great.
Yeah,
great.
Eli almost made a hole-in-one today too on the same hole. Somebody also made a hole-in-one in like the first group out on the third hole today too. It's not the easiest shot in the world. It's just some really good shots though today.
Right. That's
so fun though. The only way to get a flag from Pine Valley is you have to make a hole-in-one. And Rickie, as soon as he had made it 5 minutes later, they were cutting the flag down. We all signed it at the end of the day. It was cool.
Okay, so there's your tease. We're going to come back on the other side of the Justin Thomas conversation with a full recap of Rick's hole-in-one and the rest of, I'm sure, what are some great stories from the trip. But let's get right to it. Smiley's conversation with Justin Thomas on the front end of this trip.
All right, we got Justin Thomas. How does it feel, first off, to be the first person to come back as a reoccurring guest on the Smylie Show? You were the first person to come on, and now you are the first person to come back for a second appearance on the Smylie Show. First off, thank you for helping us get our start. But second, thank you for coming on again as we're in a little bit of a scramble mode trying to get a guest. But of course, you always deliver.
Yeah, it felt a little forced, and it was definitely easier for you to ask me in my own living room than it was to make a phone call there. But no, hey, there's a first for everything, and I'm glad to be that first.
Yes. Trying to even remember back to our first episode. We had the story of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby. So that was obviously an incredible story. And then the other one that went viral was the story about Jordan Spieth and his impeccable scorecard keeping. Yeah. Do you have another story in the hatch that is just incredible that just comes up? It's like, wow, this is built for podcasts.
I mean, obviously it's, as you know, over the years, there's plenty that end up making their rounds. I did play with Kiz this past week. There were 2 days in Hilton Head, and that was entertaining and fun. I mean, you've done some TV now with them, I guess, this year, but man, I'm pulling for Kiz because I obviously love him to death, and he's a good dude, but he hasn't been playing as well, but he's been working really hard at it, which I think is, as a fellow player, you respect. Mm-hmm. Not like he's just, kind of giving it a half effort. He's going all in, but he's not driving at the best moment. And man, I was pulling for him hard, and he, I was giving him a lot of grief. I'm like, Kiz, I need good energy. I don't need you bringing the group down. It's twosomes. It's just you and me out there for 2 days.
Yeah, this is Thursday, Friday. They're all here together.
Thursday, Friday. And man, he didn't play great the first day, and he kind of hung in there and had a couple things here and there. But on Friday on 4, there's a back pin, and I hit it. You know how Harbortown is.
Is it the par 3?
Yeah, par 3s. It's in the trees. It's very swirly, the winds, and then it seems like every hole out there is a crosswind to where it's just, you know, you get a little bit of hurt, a little bit of help, and
Especially that hole.
exactly. And I hit a hard 6-iron, hit a good shot about 20, 25 feet middle of the green, and you know, Kiz is talking skill at his caddy. He's like, you know, what do you think? He's like, if I hit the 6-iron and we get a gust, like it's not going to get there. And so he hits this 5, and he loved him to death. He flushed it. Like it was a proper golf shot that he hit, and it was just right over the pin. And Rev and I both, we kind of stopped and we're like, oh wow, like that was a nice sound. Like, that was a good shot. And I mean, it flies on the back edge of the green, goes right over the green. And he's like, I didn't think it was going to go over the green skill. It's like, well, I didn't know you were going to nut it. The screws and head over the green. And typical Kiss puts it up there and makes it, and now makes par. But we're walking off the green, and I was kind of ahead of him, but I overheard him say, you know, very great caddy move. He's like, you know, like that was a great move, like that. You hit that nice. And he's like, yeah, he's like, it was an iron. He's like, unfortunately, we're now playing 18 par 3s out here, so I got to hit some drivers. So that's the first thing that came to mind because it was about 3 or 4 days ago, but it was vintage.
When like the next hole, like he hit one right out of the middle, and it went just like
that was the day before.
That was the day before.
Yeah. We he shrimped one over there that should have gone OB and didn't, and hit a 5 or 6-iron, then hit a 9-iron to about 3 or 4 feet and made an easy birdie and went on.
There you go. I love Kiz, and we got to play together after the round of the century at the course, and we actually played the other course too down the road that's like connected with.
Yeah, I think I remember getting some content.
Yeah, we definitely got some content. Yeah. Anyways, we had a blast. He striped it that day. Big Kiz fan, and he's probably one of the best storytellers, I think, in the game of golf right now. You just get him going on a story, I'm all in.
Well, because usually he's at the heart of it. He's kind of generates the story. Just out of curiosity, over under 1.5 club throws that round. And
I couldn't miss the middle of the fairway. It was one of those days, which right now I'm like in between. I either can't stop hitting it down the middle, or I can't stop hitting the heel and then hitting it right. So
yeah, dude, it's golf.
That day in particular, I didn't throw any clubs, but Kiz had a fantastic club throw on one of our last holes that we showed actually on the show too. But so under on the club throws.
It was lost.
It definitely did. So why am I here? I'm in Florida because we are going to scratch the bucket list place, which is Pine Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Both you and I have not played there. The crew is incredible, but the golf course itself and what you've heard about it, how excited are you about going and the crew?
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It wasn't too long ago. I think we both. We never played Pine Valley. I think it's for some reason assumed by everybody in the golfing world that you played it, and I always say, I'm like, if there's not a PGA Tour event, there's a pretty decent chance I haven't played. Like, we're not necessarily looking for any big golf trips kind of thing, but this is one I know I've wanted to cross off the list, and yeah, we were just screwing around earlier. You're like, yeah, so it's Pine Valley pretty hard, and I was like, yeah, dude, like it's supposed to be really hard, and the look on your face was
scary,
total fear, like total and complete fear. So
full scared.
No,
rightfully so.
It's we're there with you, man. It's all gonna be it, but it good. I think we got 7 or 8 guys, and it's Cole will be there, so he'll be chirping, and hopefully on my team, and I'll negotiate his strokes well, and we'll have some fun.
Honestly, the list of 8. It's that our field list of the 8 that are actually going, that list has changed more than probably the Puerto Rico Open field of like who's in and who's out. Yeah. So that's been like really fun to monitor of like 4 different group texts of like, oh wait, this person's in, this person's out. So the crew that we have going though is going to be incredible, and excited to be with my partner too.
Yeah,
Rickie Fowler.
Yeah. You two, you have quite the record together. So hopefully we can put a little damper on that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to definitely do a little recap of Pine Valley. Once I get back, Charlie and I definitely are going to definitely dive into favorite holes, part of the experience. Really excited about it. But last week, top 5, Hilton Head. You mentioned Rev. First couple weeks with Rev, what has that been like? How's the, just the overall, having somebody new on the bag? I imagine the first 2 weeks just kind of feeling each other out.
Yeah, I mean, it was an adjustment, but it wasn't too much. I mean, I've known Rev for a long time. I mean, he caddied for Pat for a while and played a lot of golf with Pat. So, I mean, I like hanging out with Rev. I mean, he lived down here in Jupiter. He's been here, I think, for 25 or so years. So, it was something just with the timing and everything, how it worked out, that I know that Rev hadn't been caddying, and I was like, hey, I have no idea if you're interested in coming back, what you want to do, whatever. But I'd love to have you. And he's still not sure what he's doing, but I just was like, hey, if you want to go 2 weeks and we'll figure it out from there, so be it. And that's kind of where we're at. But it was great. We enjoyed probably catching up more than anything. And he's, he's seen a lot of great golf and a lot of great players, and he's had a lot of success around Hilton Head. So he was helpful, but yeah, it was just more fun, just kind of BS than anything.
Yeah. And for you, I think just going back all the way to, I would say Napa was like the first week where started to see more of kind of what we were accustomed to seeing with your play. I was on the call that week, and I really felt like you were on the right track. And since you've had a lot of top fives, I mean, it feels like your good golf is really good. Is it more for you right now just about kind of just the overall consistency of just kind of working on every aspect of your game and just kind of continue to improve?
It definitely, I'd say that although I feel like I've been playing really well the whole year, I would say that the mental aspect has been the biggest kind of hurdle for me. I think, as weird as it is, some of the worst weeks I've had are some of the weeks I've been playing the best going into. And I think having to manage and deal with expectations is something that is really hard. And it makes me somehow appreciate what Scottie is doing more, what Nelly is doing more. Yeah. I think it's one thing when you expect yourself to do well, obviously you want to have confidence, but to not get wrapped up in results and not be outcome oriented and not think about while you're out there what could be, what could happen. I would say all of us go in waves in our career, and I've kind of gotten in a wave where I had a hard time not thinking about outcome and results. So that's been something I've been working on really hard, is just playing the shot, then going to the next shot and going to the next shot, and just trying to get completely lost in that. Because I've watched Scottie, win a lot of golf tournaments, on whether it be on TV, in person, played with them first 2 days of players, and it's just he is lost in that process. And if you add that, I think, with an extremely high quality level of golf, it's just something that's really, really hard to beat. So that's kind of what I'm working toward.
Yeah, and winning takes so much out of you too. Just playing every single shot and not getting lost in outcomes, kind of like what you were just talking about. And I asked you yesterday, because we were just trying to put into a little perspective of how good Nelly and Scottie's run has been. 4 out of 5 for Scottie and 5 in a row for Nelly. And you mentioned that your back-to-back wins in Hawaii, said you just played incredible. But I remember how lost you were that week, and just you were playing incredible, obviously, but the mental side, I could just see from sitting with you at breakfast that you were in the zone. So when you just talk about Scottie and Nelly and you working on the mental side of the game, how does somebody manage expectations? Because it's easier said than done, but what are some of the things that you're working on, is besides just being in every single shot?
It's just one of those things you unfortunately have to experience, and I would say go through and just do. While, you know what I mean? You have to be going through it. It's not something that, I can sit on the couch over here and be like, oh, okay, when I'm out there and I'm 300 through whatever, that's when it's you have to be out there and get off to a good start on a Sunday and have a chance to make a charge and not get wrapped up in the leaderboard and understand. I felt like Bay Hill was a great learning experience for me on Sunday, because I got off to a great start, and I think I was 3 or 4 under through 9, and that's, of course,
I remember that.
So difficult. And I had a great shot into 9 about 12, 15 feet and happened to look up at the leaderboard and, I was a couple back and I was in second place. And like, I could easily go shoot 200 or 300 on this back nine to win this golf tournament. And I just played 10 well and hits about 10, 12 feet. And I felt like I had to make that putt or just to kind of keep the momentum going, and I missed it. And then I felt like I needed to start forcing it. And I played the last 8 holes terribly and went in. You look at the PGA that I won at Southern Hills, like I was 8 back with 10 to go, had absolutely no business winning. Wasn't looking at leaderboards. It was just like, I'm just trying to play each hole the best that I can. And next thing you know, it just kind of falls into your lap. And there's just something to be said for that. And I think the more often you get yourself in those positions, the more it works out for you, but also the more you're able to learn from it, I guess.
Yeah. And I feel like the best players in the world, like yourself, I think Jordan as well, I think y'all are so good at being able to read a leaderboard and being able to get out there that day and know what a good score is. And then just by looking at how the leaderboard is developing, what you need to do. And I think part of that is when you're 3 or 4 groups behind the final group and it's like, all right, the guys behind us are maybe not proven to necessarily win that event. And you just know, if I just get my name up there early, this is probably going to hold. And I think that's kind of part of the game in which a veteran like yourself is able to kind of lean on that experience when you get into situations like that at Bay Hill. But for you, would you say that you watch leaderboards a ton out there? Or like, how do you keep your head out of
I'm in a phase right now where I don't as much because I'm not handling it as well as maybe I have in past.
But would you say you're really good at like seeing the board and be like, all right, this is going to be the number? And
yeah, it's generally, I would say it depends. It definitely depends on the course. And, it's weird. It's one of those things I feel like, especially going into a Sunday, you would love to be leading, but if you're not, it's like you're like the PGA being, however, I think I was 6 or 7 back going into Sunday, but I only had like 5 people in front of me,
right?
Versus being 4 back and have 13 people in front of me. Like that's a big difference. You know what I mean? And it's just little things like that of being able to pick up on. But then again, it's also, you have so many young, talented guys and so many, not even young, but just guys that are out here proving themselves at a different point in their career where everybody just wants to win and seem to be, doing it well and handling it pretty well.
And just overall, kind of your state of your game, we've talked about your good has been really good, and you've been working on just being a little bit more consistent in your mental game. Just can you break down your ball striking, your chipping, your putting, just how you kind of feel about every aspect of your game right now?
It all feels good. I really would like to drive the ball better. I feel like I'm driving it pretty well, but I'm not driving it great. I drove it really, really well at Bay Hill, which was important. And I felt like that iron game, let me down a little bit there. And it just is, I think that's something that's so underrated about Scottie is he drives it so well. Like it's not the launching at 17, spitting at 1800, flying 330 like Rory McIlroy on a string kind of thing. But like Scottie's hitting, 70 to 80% of his fairways. And you combine one of the best iron players of all time when they're hitting out of the fairway that often and the par threes. And like, it's going to be harder to screw up. And you know what I'm saying? And that's something that personally I would like to keep improving on is hitting more fairways and driving it better, because then I'm able to use the strength of my game in my iron play.
Right. And the chipping and the putting, like you've always been a fantastic chipper, but the putting is something that I feel like you've worked really hard on, like not just the last year. I feel like the last like 4 years, it's been something you've put an emphasis on.
For sure. I mean, we're always working. And I think putting is obviously, it's so important. You have to putt well and you have to make those putts when you need to. But at the same time, my DNA is my iron game. It's my ball striking. It's my wedge game, and it's capitalizing and take advantage of that. Obviously, I fully understand, and I would love to have, positive whatever for a putting strokes gained for a week. But at the same time, like give me my DNA, give me what I have been consistently good at in my career, and that's going to be something that is going to keep me in tournaments more often. And then all of a sudden I get a hot putting week and I could win by 5 or 6.
Yep.
And we're always going to want to improve in every part of our game. But for putting, for me, it's just simplifying it and making it a little more athletic, like the rest of my game is kind of what I've been working on, I'd say.
And you definitely kind of brought up a great point about Scottie and how well he drives the golf ball. He hits a lot of fairways, hits it far, hits a lot of kind of these squeeze shots too when he wants to. And we were talking about this over the last week or so, and maybe not answered for yourself, but for other players. Right now, when you go up against Scottie on a Sunday and you're very close to him on the leaderboard, do you feel like you have to play perfect golf because he's not going to make a mistake? Or do you think it's kind of the point where you start watching him a little bit too much? Maybe not answering for you, but for other players.
I'm sure. I think I haven't dueled it out with him in a tournament really that close. To probably give a very accurate statement. But I mean, just watching his golf. I mean, he made 1 bogey and 1 double in 72 holes coming off of a major victory the week prior. So like that's. Like, I don't think people understand like how insane that is. To win a golf tournament takes a lot out of you. To win a major takes more out of you. And to win the Masters with how difficult the conditions were after coming off a first and a second, like it shows how much in control and how much of a zone and just a role he's on. And so I think stuff like that, it does make everybody think that they have to be perfect. But that being said, that could also end up being the reason that he's able to win so many times. I think guys, how often you would see, you never know. It could have been something where maybe Ludwig or Colin and on 11, like, I have to make birdie here. I have to do this. And it's like when Scottie's just like, I'm just going to arm to death. I think there's definitely situations where certain courses force you to play differently. But I think, you look at all the greats and, when you win, who knows how many times he's going to win over his career, but you could easily go back to a lot of my wins and I was probably given just as many as I won. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's such a good point because I do feel like there's an art to winning golf tournaments. Like you need, first off, you gotta be in the situation to win that night on a Sunday. Yeah. But it always comes down to like just a little bit of luck, and you obviously gotta have the talent to be there to win on the PGA Tour. So there's just like this crazy formula that it takes to win, where you've seen players like Tommy Fleetwood put themselves in countless times to win on the PGA Tour, hasn't gotten it done, and then you have random situations like me, who didn't put myself in a situation at all to win on Sunday. It was just handed to me because I just happened to get hot. There's just so many different ways to win on the tour. And that's why I wanted to ask you about the leaderboards and all the certain ways of winning and having it handed to you.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is. I remember my year on the Korn Ferry, like I had a lot of chances to win and I never got it done. And it was frustrating. And I was like, I'm playing good enough to win. But like you said, it's, to go off of Tommy Fleetwood, like he's going to not only win, he's going to win a big golf tournament. He's going to win a major. Like he's that good. But more importantly, he's putting himself there as often as anybody. So at some point, it's just a percentage game. Like it's going to happen. But what I started with when I was on Korn Ferry is that I had a lot of chances to win and I was getting frustrated and pushed it and I couldn't get it done. And the playoff event in Columbus, I looked at a leaderboard with, on Sunday, I was like 4 back with 4 to go. And I'm like, well, it's like, I can't win, but every dollar matters. It's just getting, move my position up, whatever. And, I birdied maybe one of the last 4 holes and like, felt like I got in solo second. I finished. I'm like, great. That's awesome. Richard Sturdy bogeys like the last 3 holes. Next thing you know, I'm in a playoff. I birdied the first playoff hole. I win. And I'm like, holy it really is. It's just sometimes that happened to Jordan at RBC like last year. Like he birdied that last hole and he fist pumped and it was to like go to 4th. And how often, or 3rd or 4th, like you finish 18 and you have like 3 or 4 people ahead of you and they're on like 13 or 14. Like you're thinking like, all right, awesome. Like I hope that holds a top 5 finish. And then it's like, oh wait, I forgot it's really hard to win. And these golf courses could play tough. And next thing you know, he's in a playoff. So it's just, it is.
It's interesting conversation, right? Like
it's shocking. I mean,
because I'm constantly out on the ground and sometimes second, third to last group. And I just watch, because when we say this is a must make putt, and happens a lot because you know that the guy's behind, but sometimes it's just reading that last guy, and we're not going to continue on with it. But something that's really interesting is that the PGA Championship is coming up. I know you are probably a little excited about going back home and playing in Louisville. Are we going to be announcing on the first tee that we're from Goshen, Kentucky that week?
Yeah, I'm announced from Louisville every week, so I'll definitely.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was Jupiter, Florida. No.
I think maybe my rookie year or something like that was, but I've been. So I was Goshen the first couple of years, and to be perfectly honest, like how difficult of a time the announcers had pronouncing.
So just Louisville.
Like, is it Goshen? I'm like, just make it Louisville. So now at least worst case scenario, and they just say Louisville weird, but the whole Goshen thing, and like let's make this easy. So I've been Louisville guy for a minute.
I mean, how good is that going to sound on either the first or the 10th tee when they announce your name from Louisville, Kentucky? I mean, that's something that I've always dreamed about playing in Birmingham. Never had a chance to, but for you, like that's going to be probably the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I'll be feeling a lot of emotions. I'll be very, very nervous, very anxious, excited, but it kind of goes back to it. I want to need to get my own little world and enjoy the support and everything. But I'm out there to try to win a golf tournament. So hopefully just get in the mix in the back nine on Sunday and see what happens.
And what are your impressions of Valhalla, just for folks that have not seen it on TV or didn't watch the Ryder Cups or past majors?
I think I don't want to say it gets a bad rap, but doesn't get as much credit, I feel, as it deserves. I think people, they see a PGA maybe at a Southern Hills or a Bethpage or, whatever it may be. And they're like, Valhalla and Louisville, Kentucky. But like, look at the tournaments it's produced, and it's insane. Yeah, it really has. And obviously, of course, I'm going to be biased toward it, but you've had 2 playoffs. I mean, you had, Kenny Perry almost got it done. I think it was like 96 against Mark Brooks there. And then obviously, any golf fan knows the Tiger Bob May situation. And it's produced some unbelievable golf tournaments. It really has. And then you have Rory winning, at the last second of daylight, battling against Phil and Rick there. So, I mean, it has really, you can say what you want about the course, but it has honestly given some great PGA championships, and hopefully it'll do the same.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to it. I know Justin is also really excited about playing Louisville. I'm really more excited about the content from all the Louisville boys on the group chat from that weekend. That's going to be incredible. And on the way out, we have all of these amazing trophies, the trophy cabinet that I took credit for today when we recorded our podcast. I forgot about that I won. I was part of the President's Cup, the CIMB. I was taking credit for everything, but we have to mention I want to hear your answer, and then I'll give you my answer for what I think is your most impressive win. How would you answer that?
Akron. It's not even close.
Thank you. I was going to make sure that was going to be the answer. Akron.
Yeah. Akron, after it was the WGC, it was it was this guy right here. We can stand it, right? Yeah, there it is. Right there. But no, it was right after Jordan's bachelor party. I'm going to be honest. I didn't have business winning a golf tournament. I didn't have business playing a golf tournament that weekend, let alone.
I wasn't good till Friday. I don't know how you teed it up.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to pick on you, but that doesn't surprise me. I remember I got
very well said.
And, contacted a doctor. I'm like, I just had a rather large trip, and it's just like I need something. Give me. And I was like, can I get an IV? Can I get whatever? Go in, get an IV, and looking for a vein. They're like, we can't give you an IV. You're too dehydrated. I'm like, I'm well aware, man. And that's why I'm in here. I'm in here to get rehydrated. So, that was a tough scene. That was a very humbling experience, and I'm not proud of it, but I am proud.
I mean,
of that
you
victory.
won by like you wasn't even.
It was some of the best golf I played. Yeah, it was arguably the most control I've had tee to green, especially at a golf course, in Akron, where it is not friendly at times.
I've hit 2 fairways in a round out there. Let me tell you,
You probably didn't drive it that
not fun, not great.
yeah, it was. Like you said, it's a no brainer. It's the most impressive win that can't be repeated.
had to be said. It's probably a lot more difficult to do that at the age of 30. So we'll just keep that in our past, and we'll keep hydrating before big time events, especially as we're going to see this guy. Next start is when?
Charlotte.
Then we go head to Louisville. So Here we have it. We having Chinese or Greek tonight?
Probably let the boss decide that.
Good call. All right, Justin Thomas. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. You got it.
There you have it. Smiley's conversation with JT. As noted, the first repeat guest on the show. So big one for JT. He was the first ever guest on the show. He was the first ever repeat guest on the show. And I thought, for a casual conversation in JT's office, a lot of cool stuff in there, like breaking down the psyche of chasing Scottie. That's got to be something a lot of guys are thinking about right now. And to hear him go into that and then also talk about winning in general, I thought was a really cool conversation you two had.
Yeah, it really was. I didn't intend to have Justin come on the podcast. I really feel like those things should be arranged in advance, not like hey, we had somebody bail last minute and we need somebody to fill out a podcast. But, we had been wanting to have a guest come back on like JT, just to check in, basically hey, we want to continue to have great conversations with the best players in the world, not just do it one time. So it was really nice of JT to do that. And how about two? Just casually while we're out on the golf course today, we find out that he made $30 million.
That must be, I was wondering, I saw that come through and I was wondering about the mechanics of that at Pine Valley, just like you're out there playing the greatest course in America. And then you just find out that you got 30 extra mil in your bank account. Did he know that was coming or was this sort of a surprise?
I'm sure he knew it was coming and who knows, but still, if it was me or you, we would be doing swan dives in the water, and you would have never really known that he had a financially crazy, awesome day. He didn't change his tune, he didn't change his conversations. It was just, all right, what's the next shot, or what are we talking about?
What a life!
So I thought that was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I'd say pretty cool is an undersell. That's awesome. So, so let's get right into it. Let's get into the trip. And the first place we got to start, Smylie, is, this. If you're watching this on YouTube, you have, perhaps more than likely have seen the videos of us playing Spyglass Hill, of us playing Pacific Grove in 60-mile-per-hour winds. That was back around the AT&T Pro-Am. People want to update on the state of the game. Pine Valley, notoriously hard course, which I was delighted to learn that you were just finding that out when you arrived.
Know.
Yeah. Hard course, very hard course. Has eaten my lunch a number of times. So how'd you play? Let's start there.
I played the members tees. I played with Colt Nost and I were in the foursome together, playing with. The first day we played with one of Justin Thomas's good friends, Willie Sellers, and Theo Epstein. So the guy used to be the GM for the Cubs.
Red Sox.
And the Red Sox, part of the Fenway group. So he's kind of involved in all the PGA Tour stuff as well now. And it's a super dude. Theo and I lost to Colt, and Willie won down on 18. So we were coming back, and I hit this incredible wedge shot on 16 and spun it back in the water. It was my only complaint about the golf course thing, is it didn't make sense why this green should do that. But anyways, we had this, we played the members tees. So for me, I thought the members tees were more difficult because I don't hit my 3-iron and 3-wood very good. I don't hit it very straight. So I'm a much better driver, like when I get it going. And I just never got comfortable with like a go-to shot with a 3-iron or a 3-wood. So I was, I was just off the fairway. Some of the holes I was a little bit more off, but you can't miss fairways out there.
Yeah.
Or you're pitching out in the fairway. I've never played a golf course as demanding as Pine Valley. It's easily as good as advertised, and I think probably, if not my favorite golf course I've ever played, it's right there.
Here's the thing about Pine Valley, that if you're like an architecture nerd, and I feel like I'm scratching the surface on architecture, nerdiness. Like there are definitely people out there, there are podcasts out there that go in much further detail on these sorts of things than you and I do on this show. But I will say this, that it's really cool reading about the origins of Pine Valley, because essentially the way this course was designed was with an all-star cast of all the best architects from that era, where George Crump was just like, hey, can you come out and take a look at this hole? Can you come out and take a look at this hole? Alistair McKenzie, CB McDonald. Then all of a sudden you have this thing put together that's like, oh, wow, like it's the greatest hits course. And I agree with you. I mean, it's a very tough, demanding course, and you've got to kind of like remind yourself, like, hey, I'm at Pine Valley. Like, let's take a deep breath. It's eating my lunch, but we're still having fun here.
That was me.
Well, and I'll say too, like, you're talking about like that. I don't know if we played one up from the member tees or where we played when I last played, but like Hell's Half Acre, that massive bunker, but you can't hit a driver there, right? You're like, this is par 5 that you hear about, and like you have to hit like 3-wood short.
Gosh. I couldn't hit that fairway. And then
you got it. It's narrow, right? And if you hit it, like if you run it into that to Hell's Half Acre, you are so hosed, because you're like, what do I do here? Like I gotta pitch out, but I gotta carry it like 130 yards, and then I got to also not run through the next portion of the fairway. And then, so like if you leave it short, then you're hitting another long iron, and then you got to hit like a really nice approach wedge into that green. I made birdie there last time out, and I was like, that was such an accomplishment.
Today I hit 3-wood, well to the right, punch out to about 320, driver off the deck into the front bunker, and then hold a bunker shot for birdie.
No way. That's electric. That is so electric.
We're not going to talk about the first 6 or 7 holes before that.
Yeah, there's some tough ones in there. So maybe demanding tests, you really liked it. Maybe didn't play as well as you would like to, but still. So let's start. You're talking about the holes. Like, let's go through holes that kind of stood out to you.
God, you could go. I could have a list of every single hole and tell you why it's a great hole. Seriously. I think number 2 is such a cool hole.
Do you remember when we were standing on the tee box at 2 at Spy? I mean, completely different thing, but like that downhill tee shot and then like the uphill approach, and obviously it's bunkered differently at Pine Valley, but like
it's bunkered. It's way harder.
2 is such a good hole.
Yeah, it's way harder, but yeah, I can see what you're talking about. 2 is really cool. I loved how 5 looked. I thought it was probably one of the hardest par 3s I've ever played. JT hit this 5-wood today from 250, and you can't miss it right. He drew it to a backhand, hits it 8 feet, made birdie. And I had the club president watch me hit a 3-iron, and I haven't hit the 3-iron on the map for the last 2 days. And I've already high-odd a couple earlier in the day, and I'm like, just make contact. And I hit it on the green. I was like, wow, that was huge. So, let's see, where else am I going to go here? I think number 8, that little short par 4 where it has 2 greens. That one's a really cool hole.
Was the green left or right today?
It was left.
We had it right on our day, and right is like a postage stamp. And I hit that green with like a gap wedge or something, and I was like, that's one of the more impressive golf shots I've ever hit in my entire life. Like, we can walk in now.
Let's see, as we go on further on the back, I mean, shoot, 11's great, 12's fantastic, 13 is a really cool over the hill, dog-leg left. I love the way that green shapes. And every hole coming in, 14, 18. But I would probably put 14 as my favorite of that group. That par 5, I think, is really cool the way it shapes up the hill. And the green is just insane. I don't know why I'm picking the holes I've only made birdie on, but I birdied that one twice. So, and then 18 it's a cool finisher green. So, which is you always like to see the last hole, the 18th hole being not a letdown. And it was just as good as the other ones. Just a fantastic golf course. If you ever get an opportunity to do it, can't pass it up. But if you haven't watched the flyovers on Golf Digest, that kind of gives you a feel for it. But yeah, and then Rickie making a hole-in-one on 3. I think I'll always remember that hole too now.
Well, so and that's where I wanted to go next. Was like, let's just empty the entire chamber of stories that you have. Like, I'm sure that there were a lot of great stories with that crew on this trip. So let's start with like set the scene for, you're a broadcaster, you call shots for a living. Like walk us through the play-by-play of Rickie's hole-in-one and everything that happened around it.
So Justin, right before he had hit, it was me, Willie Sellers, Justin, and Rickie playing together, and we were in the second group. And the tee box is really close to the green on 4, but the pin was up. So the guys were kind of right behind the green, the group in front of us. And Justin grabs a 7-iron. He says, y'all are going to want to get this one on video. I'm probably going to make it. So it was just like, I think it was already like cueing in our brains. So like, okay, let's get the phones out. And he hits his money 7-iron, came up short in the bunker. But I think it helped Rickie knowing that he could hit it. He needed to hit his 7-iron. And it came off perfect. And I'm watching it in the air. And as soon as it landed, it was like, I think Justin was the first one to say, oh, my God, it's going to go in. Next thing you know, just pandemonium. Justin jumped on Rickie's back immediately. And then we were just high-fiving. And, like, we made so much noise. The group in front of us was on the green. They were dancing around, too. It was pretty dang cool.
That is absolutely unbelievable. And that's so cool. So they took the flag off that pin, took it right in. Everyone signs at the end. Do they frame it for him, or does he just take it with him right off property and does it over with him?
Yeah. I told him if he wanted to keep his golf ball safe, to frame it, that I could play with it the rest of the day and it would be really safe and in good hands.
Did he take you up on it? I'd be stunned if he didn't.
If he saw me the first couple holes, I mean, golly, I will say when it comes to the state of my game, I got to find a way to get like a go-to shot with like a 3-iron or a 3-wood, because I just am like not finishing my backswing and then just getting quick from the top over the top. So I just feel like I can't ever hit a draw or anything low. So I gotta figure that out. So that place is going to expose you though. Like just a really hard golf course. I played pretty good, couple times ago, like last week, and felt like my game was in a good spot, but it just is just a manly golf, man. It definitely exposed me.
Well, I feel like the thing about that place, and I think the test of any, elite golf course in a lot of scenarios is like, of course, it's narrow off the tee, but especially if you're playing the members tees for someone with Tour Pro length like you have, like if you can find fairways off the tees, you can hit, you have a chance, right? You have a chance, but then it's these demanding approach shots where, for the most part, you can play courses where you're like, if I just hit it in the center of the green, I'm fine. Not necessarily the case at Pine Valley. Like, there are places you absolutely cannot miss it. There are undulations on these greens that just make them so tough. And so it's like you kind of have to hit, approach shots that are more demanding if you want to like not 3-jack every green. Now, maybe more easy for you than for me, but I feel like a lot of times I'm like, do I want to hit this in the center of the screen? Like, it just, I don't know. That felt like very challenging. And then also when you're not hitting it good, when you're not hitting approach shots good, then the score just starts ballooning. But I mean, it's just such a cool piece of property. I felt like, I assume you guys spent a ton of time on, that's gotta be the greatest practice facility in America.
We hit some balls before the round each day. Incredible practice facility. Probably one of the best I've ever been around. Besides that, like staying in the lodge on property, doing dinner that night, wear a coat and tie, and all the members that have their groups there.
Did you have the red snapper soup?
I didn't eat any, but everybody else did. Looks great. I just didn't eat it. But man, geez, I think it's really cool. Everybody goes in for cocktail hours before dinner, kind of just hang in. You meet a couple different groups or members where they're from, and it's a really amazing golf experience. So happy I got invited, and dinner was great too. And it was funny that the one like inside joke that we're still laughing about after dinner, where everybody's kind of done like eating and nobody really wants dessert. And I think I'm trying to remember who ordered like vanilla ice cream. I think it was Eli. So give me some vanilla ice cream. And I like yelled across the table, like, you know what, I'll take a decaf coffee. And everybody thought that was like the silliest order of all time, ordering decaf coffee. And now everybody, like the rest of the weekend, it was just a bit about drinking decaf coffee and why it's pointless. But then like heading home, like Theo grabbed a decaf coffee at Starbucks. So I think the inside jokes from any golf trip, I think is something that always is. It was funny to us. I'm sure it's funny to half the people listening to this, but we had a lot of good laughs, especially that first day with Colt and I playing. We were going back and forth. I mean, we already burned that scorecard. That first day was a tough scene for us two guys. But boy, did we call a good golf shot when we were over the golf ball. We were throwing it back and forth.
I love hearing that. I mean, that's the reason why you go on a golf trip anywhere. I mean, of course, it's amazing when it's a place like Pine Valley, but the group chats before and after are always, the ones where you're getting hyped up on the front end, but then it's a group of guys you probably wouldn't be texting on the back end necessarily in that group, and it just keeps going on and on and on. The decaf coffee thing becomes a bit. It's the best, man. So who had the low round of the trip? Like, what was it? I'm curious if we have a number we want to throw out there. No.
I don't know. I think Rickie played pretty decent the first day. Nobody tore it up. It was just so hard. I think Colt played good today. He said he played much better today, which is not surprising. He didn't drive it good the first day, but the second day he did, and I think it's easy to make a lot of pars from the fairways. But when you're out of play, it's you're looking at bogey or double.
Yeah, without a doubt. Okay, so we don't know low round, but Rick played good. JT obviously sounds like he played pretty good.
Yeah, he played good.
Was that the Tour Pro contingent? Was that the full Tour Pro contingent?
Yeah. Us three and Colt and I being the retired guys, and Willie's a good player. He's a scratch. Played at Alabama with JT, and Eli's decent. I didn't get to play with Eli. He was always in a different group, but Ben Welpern, great dude. Theo, fun to play with, and just epic couple days. Now back to the real world.
I was gonna say back to the real world. Got a flight home. Are we going direct to Birmingham, or do we gotta connect?
We got direct out of Philly. So get home tonight. This has been. I know this is an extended weekend, but 8 weekends in a row I haven't been at home. So happy to have a little bit of time to kind of get organized at the house and just get back into dad mode.
That dad mode is it's a good place to be. After Masters weekend, that was a nice reward coming home and chasing a little guy around the house. That's well documented on this pod. Oh, one last one I wanted to ask you, and we talked about the swing, but just did we try Scottie Scheffler at all? We did.
No, it's working. I still just need to keep working on my backswing and trusting just the right move on the backswing and that the timing and the rhythm of waiting it at the top and completing my turn. And then the stuff on the downswing works. I know it works, but I think it's like something that just gets me going quicker where I just don't trust to complete my backswing. Because it doesn't feel right in my hands. Sometimes it feels like my grip gets weak, and then I just pull on it. But Scottie Scheffler, when it hits, it hits.
I love that. Well, when you mentioned the dad thing, I was like, oh, wait a second. I knew there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. Dad, Scottie and dad synonymous these days. So very good. There's your Pine Valley recap. I'm sure that's going to bleed into future conversations on this pod as we talk about golf trips. This is logo bingo here at the airport.
Yeah.
I'm sure you got a belt on or something like that.
I got a belt too.
You're a trucker guy. You got the same sort of hat at Cypress as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I just get the ones that fit me right and go from there.
Yeah. I like it. You got to stick to what works. Well, listen, I got one at Sand Hills in May, so I'm excited and I'm going to be doing that recap from Sandhills. So
There you
that's
go.
gonna be lots of fun. So we'll keep you guys in the loop on this. Well, very good. I'll let you get back to your flight activities. Hopefully no delays. Fingers crossed. And I'm trying to think. Next we have a Zurich recap coming up this weekend. So stay tuned for that coming up.
Are we updating everybody on my pick?
Oh, that's right. We had a large controversy brewing while Smylie was on property at Pine Valley. I don't know, Smylie. Do you want to state your case for the people, or should I present the facts of the case first, so then we can make a decision?
Well,
because
my biggest thing is that Wyndham Park withdrawals, and I picked Bo Hostler because he's with Wyndham. Obviously, I like Wyndham on that golf course. I like Bo. I like his game. He's going to fit nicely into Wyndham. So I liked comparing Wyndham withdrawals. It's still, the tournament has not happened, so I feel like I have the right to change my pick, in which I would like to formally ask, can I change my pick?
I think the rules committee, look, the PGA Tour is a forgiving organization when it comes to relief, from temporary movable objects and from partners who withdraw and playing the Zurich Classic. So we will grant you this one-time relief. You initially were on record as taking Davis Thompson, so we will give you Davis Thompson, but we're keeping an eye on you. We're making sure you're not moving loose impediments behind the ball and fluffing your lie up a little bit. We're just going to keep an eye on that one. That was, I laughed very hard when I was like looking at a preview and I was like, oh, Hostler and Sam Ryder. Oh boy, should I tell Smylie or not?
So give me Davis Thompson and Andrew Novak. Let's do it.
You have Davis Thompson,
ride.
Andrew Novak. I have Kurt Kitayama, and by extension of that, Colin Morikawa. Those are our picks for the Zurich. You are listening or watching this as the Zurich is underway, so enjoy that, and we'll be back here with a recap of that tournament at the either Sunday night or Monday morning. So we will talk to you then.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool, and
all of our Louisville fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people of YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the